Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring VoTaN in our top left corner playing our red Protoss, and in the top right we have Thorminator. Our blue Zerg. It is a Zerg versus Protoss. We're on Shakira's Plateau, and both players are in upper Masters. Yeah, like top 20 seed Masters. Super cool guys, very classy. Definitely know the game much better than I guarantee it. You don't get to Masters without really knowing the game very well, and I'm just a monkey with a microphone. And that's basically all you need to know about me, except that VoTaN's moving out, get his probe on the low ground. Looks like he's going to go for that typical Forge Fast expand on Shakira's Plateau. It's nice because you have that smaller, medium to small ramp, and you can wall off by throwing down a Forge, maybe one other large building and a pylon and a Zealot, and secure that very conveniently. Thorminator saving up a little bit of money, but no, he's just waiting for that Overlord to pop so he can get out the next wave of drones. Hopefully he's going for a double expo and we can see a nice big macro game, but you always got to be careful with those Zerg. They can do some sneaky stuff, I'm not gonna lie. We'll keep an eye out on that. VoTaN, you know, he's probably going to be building exactly what we expect. There goes the Forge. Probably going to see a gateway right behind the Forge, maybe even a photon cannon tucked up somewhere in the safer regions, but he doesn't really have to rush or anything like that. The spawning pool has just now been dropped down at 14 supply, and whatever Zerglings that are going to come out are going to have to take the very, very long pathway home. I mean, look at this. By ground, it takes 6 to 8 years. It's basically the Oregon Trail of StarCraft 2. No gas, no early gas out of VoTaN just yet, but that's to be expected as he's kind of making a play for that early expansion. Really nothing to report right now. You guys could probably go get some coffee, maybe some popcorn, come back later. And by later, I mean like in the 40 seconds that it's going to take for either player to differentiate their build. It looks like some sparring. Wow, 2-on-2. The drones are going to town. It looks like one probe is going to get a kill, but the other probe is very, very low health. Oh, nice control by Thorminator pulling off that one, and one goes down. Very good control from Thorminator, taking down both probes, it looks like. However, the probes didn't really pay for themselves. I mean, yeah, that's units lost, and you really don't ever want to lose workers. But they did delay the hatchery down on the bottom side. I mean, 19 supplies a little bit later than you would expect, and Thorminator had saved up a little bit more than 300 minerals, meaning that he was slightly delayed. First 4 Zerglings coming out. It looks like the Overlord sees all, knows all over at the natural for VoTaN. He's going to need to drop down one more structure. It's probably going to be a gateway just because it's the one structure that's missing here, and I don't think we have any pylons. No, we do not. Up at the main. There goes the gateway. Cybernetics core is going to be shortly behind it. Probably going to throw up the next pylon up on the high ground. Want to spread out that tech. Don't want to leave everything very exposed to one Artosis pylon. But with the photon cannon complete, as well as that wall off, the Zerglings are going to have a very hard time with breaking down that front door. Drone going off into the apparent third, you know, expanding away from your opponent. Even though this is a little bit closer, it's also directly across from VoTaN, and you don't really want to expose yourself that much, at least when you don't need to. So 2 hatcheries are on the way, 2 assimilators being built for VoTaN, so he's going to be doing quite a lot of gas production in a short order. Hopefully this probe, I wonder what this guy's doing. Maybe a hidden third, though his positioning is more along the lines of a hidden tech. And maybe that would explain the 2 gas, but that gas timing is actually very, very standard. So if it is some sort of hidden tech, it's very well hidden. I'll give him that much. Cybernetics core is just now being built. It looks like a pylon's being dropped on that. We'll keep an eye on that. Okay, hatchery for the third. And no gas quite yet out of Thorminator. Nothing, not even speed, which is very, very important in this matchup. Cybernetics core is finishing with that +1 on the way. Yeah, I saw him doing a little chrono boost on that, but no, he's not building anything there. And it's not really within range of the Overlord, so it's not really worth it. So Cybernetics core has finished. No double gas down at the natural. So probably if there is going to be a hidden tech down by this pylon, it's not going to be very gas heavy, or otherwise we'd see those gases being taken right now. It's going to be a Stargate. A Stargate down. This is too clever. I mean, normally with a Stargate you'd see this gas being grabbed, but if you see this gas being grabbed, this Overlord is going to turn around and take a beeline right into VoTaN's main base. And as things are now, there's no reason to be suspicious. He sees the 2 gas at the main. He could probably suicide this Overlord in shortly to see it. maybe even scout whatever tech's inside. We have a robotics facility going on, so this is going to completely take Thorminator by surprise. These two zealots have scouted. Did they poke up high enough? They did not poke up high enough to see the creep, but with the Zerglings doing the run by, he can naturally assume that there is a third in that area. The Stargate has finished, nothing out quite yet. It looks like he's building 3 more gateways back at home with that robotics facility just to fully sell the deception, and I really like this. A little bit of back and forth between the Zealots and the Zerglings. They're going to get cleaned up, but the units lost tab showing you how incredibly even those exchanges were. 200 from the Zealots, 175 from the Zerglings, because remember the early kills of the Zerglings, or the drones on the scouting probes. Roach Warren is not going to be very useful against the the Void Ray that's coming out of the Stargate. Oh, but wow, we see a lot of Zerglings scouting around. Maybe he suspects that there is something up. The speed has also been started, as well as that first gas, or second and third gas being grabbed. Looks like a third gas down at the extractor. But I don't think those Zerglings are not going to be able to knock down the wall. I mean, the wall is nigh impenetrable. He's got a pylon placed in such a choke that it's going to make dealing with it pretty much impossible. Looks like the warp gate is up. Robotics facility is done getting out that first observer. How many Void Rays is going to wait? Probably at least 2. But I mean, we do have Evo chambers out, and they're working on the +1. But there's no spore crawlers, there's no anti-air in any form. He can drop down the spores very, very quickly. It looks like he's going to be doing a drop. VoTaN is just going to go balls to the wall with this aggression. He's got 2 Void Rays coming out on the south side, a Warp Prism accompanied with 3 Zealots coming out on the north, and that Warp Prism is going to be fueled by quite a lot of gateways being built right now. The Warp Prism coming up, scouting that the Zerglings are in the area, as well as the Overlord, but he's going to be relying on the Void Rays on the south side just to do so much damage here. Immediately throwing down a couple of spores, a very good reaction timing there out of Thorman, but delayed. He did not. He needed to get those up before those Void Rays arrived, and now we can see the Zerglings being warped in on the high ground. This Queen's going to get surrounded, a force field in the rear, focusing down the spores at the third. This is terrible. 6-7 workers killed as the Zealots make their way into the Naturals probe line. Zerglings are in the area, and they do have speed. It looks like the Warp Prism has picked up 3 Zealots and 1 Sentry. It looks like the Zerglings have cleaned up the rest of the Zealots, but down at the third, you can just see how many minerals are being wasted on all of these spores, because he really can't get any of them up. These Void Rays are fully charged. They've taken down the old Queens in the area. I don't think he's going to be able to get all of these completely down. It looks like the Void Ray has Warp Prism has readjusted itself down to the natural, continuing that aggression. Workers killed at 14. I think we started off with 2, but the spores are finally done. These Void Rays are trying desperately to focus down the hatchery, but I don't think it's going to happen. Both of them have shields left, but not much. Another warp in of a couple of Zealots picking up the ones on the ground. Still no anti-air, and by anti-air I mean mobile anti-air. Yeah, there's a couple of Queens, but they've been focused down by the Void Rays and the Zealots. Fantastic aggression here. I mean, the economy 48 over 39, even on a 2 base for the Protoss. He's got to be feeling fantastic. The only problem I see here is that it wasn't a game-ending kill. He's got to further this with more aggression. Back at home, what has he been doing? He's been doing his diligence. He's got 2 Immortals out on the field, plenty of Stalkers going to be joining up with the plethora of Zealots that have survived the initial aggression, warping in a couple more hopefully to further out kind of the meat wall. Thorminator's probably, he's scouting around with a bunch of Zealots or Zerglings trying to find the hidden tech, find out where those Stargate units were coming from. But to no avail. It looks like the push from VoTaN has arrived. He's going to have a hard time against so many Zerglings, because really those Zerglings hadn't been engaged directly even by the Zealots, but he's got a very intimidating army, quite a lot of Zealots on the high ground as well, kind of splitting them up. These Zealots have to be careful. They're going to get surrounded and eaten up almost instantly, but that buys VoTaN enough time to push his units in. Oh, drawing the entire force of Zerglings up to the north side, throwing down a force field. He's got 2 sentries in the area pushing down. This hatchery is definitely going to go down. And the force field falls on the ramp. Got to be careful. Thorminator is pushing. Oh no, scouting it right when he needs to. But what is this? Mutalisks out on the field. Got to be very careful. Engaging, trying to snipe down that void ray. Does succeed in taking it down, but what at the loss of one or two of those Mutalisks, and those Mutalisks are pretty expensive in and of themselves. Throwing down another force field just to further delay those Zerglings. One more Mutalisk on the way, +2 for the Zerg, only +1 attack for Protoss right now. Mutalisks coming in, focusing down that sentry, trying to keep that energy low, but it would be a really good idea to focus down that warp prism. They do succeed, canceling the units. All of a sudden, he doesn't have enough energy to throw down a single force field, but these Zerglings have to attack at such a terrible angle. At the same time, that force is buying enough time for the Zealots to reposition down on the south side into the third. The Mutalisks frantically trying to catch up and help with the economy there, but now that is in shambles. I mean, the natural is down, the third is down. The long-distance mining from the drone is commencing. It looks like the Zerglings have succeeded in breaking out from their prism at home and getting a fantastic surround, especially on those Immortals, which you expect to be hidden in the middle. Some Phoenixes coming out will help with the Mutalisks, but not help with the ground attack. These Zerglings are proving to be very cost-effective, finally evening up that resources loss tab a bit more in the favor of Thorminator is getting out a hatchery down at the third. It looks like he dropped the third one immediately, but he's also getting the one down at the natural. Still has not scouted the Stargate down in the bottom left, but he has VoTaN contained. I mean, how many? He's running out of minerals. His main is still going strong, but these only have 100 or 200 minerals left on them, so there's not much. VoTaN's running out of time. He needs to get out of third. He needs to maybe think about getting the hidden third down here, but these Zerglings scouting will really give Thorminator a good idea of where the next engagement will happen, and VoTaN hasn't had much luck in pushing out and actually doing a lot of damage when he pushes out. On a ground force, his harassment has been top drawer, like really good, but he hasn't been able to seal the deal and kill the Zerg, and the Zergs are neck and neck in harvester count. They'll be able to re-macro as soon as these hatcheries pop. And what does VoTaN have? Well, he's re-macroed this army. I mean, he was in a really good place because of all that aggression, and yeah, he's trying to spin down all that excess money. He has 700 minerals, and those that warp prism was just fantastic. He's getting out another one. This is going to be great. But a lot of Zerglings out. We saw how cost effective they were. They've got those +2 upgrades, and they're being supported by the Mutalisks. So VoTaN has to be very careful whenever he moves out, not to leave his home base completely undefended from these Mutalisks. But here goes VoTaN taking the Xel'Naga Watchtower on the north side. Thorminator is getting his units in position. Quite a lot of Zerglings, probably not enough to take out this mass of Zealots. I mean, there's quite a lot of Zealots in there, but still just the +1 upgrade advantage goes to Thorminator, and the supply is pretty much neck and neck. Another 30 Zerglings on the way, but +1 armor will be finishing as soon as this battle commences. Again, VoTaN kind of poking himself into that corner, trying to deny that concave, but Thorminator engaging at just the right time to get that concave. The Zerglings are going to town on a lot of the stalkers, but I think VoTaN's going to come out on top of that. The mutas are engaging from on high, but the stalkers are really taking them to task, doing quite a lot of damage. Oh, but all of a sudden, all the Zealots are gone, all the Immortals are gone, only Stalkers left, and Stalkers are not the most cost-effective units against all of these Zerglings. Zerglings are going to clean up VoTaN and his push. All the mutas are down, but the Stalkers are going to have to retreat. A fresh swell of Zealots. I think VoTaN has to continue this aggression, because he really can't allow Thorminator to get this keep this third up. I mean, you can look at the economy. Yeah, 6 harvesters are in the lead for Protoss, but the next round of drones, if Thorminator gets that, is really going to put him in the lead. Where did that warp prism go? Is it here? Where did that warp prism go? I hope it didn't go and drop behind enemy lines or die. Maybe that's what those Mutalisks were doing, was taking care of that drop, because I think that's what VoTaN was counting on, was his ability to harass. He's getting +1 shields out. Oh, and a Nexus up at the third. A little bit delayed on that one. I think he was hoping that last push was going to be the end-all be-all. Another fantastic surround, some force fields which were much needed in the previous battle. Not so useful here. In the previous battle, I mean, really, he was expecting roaches. That unit composition would have been fantastic against roaches. but against these huge number of very fragile units, the Immortals one-shotting them and the Zealots really taking damage doesn't really equal success. Looks like this huge roll of Zerglings are going to get surrounded on some very delicate sentries. Their force fields misplaced this time because they could have come in handy last time. In that last engagement, keep alive some of those Immortals a little bit longer. But as things are now, VoTaN's army is going to get cleaned up. All of a sudden, you have a 2-base Protoss against however many bases Thorminator feels like taking, because at this point he's 100% in control of this map. That's a huge turnaround because VoTaN did fan-frickin-tastic job with all that harassment. It was really, really good. Those Void Rays took out this entire base. Warp Prism took out quite a lot of drones up at the top, and then eventually the push took out both bases of the natural and the third. Fantastic job to Thorminator for sticking with it. I mean, when you get docked down to one base on Zerg, you know you're feeling it, but succeeding in taking out that whole force in this big battle right here, and then again taking out the secondary push, really kept him in the game. Good, nice, clear head. That's basically it. Hey, if you guys have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit one way or another. I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. Bye.